I don't trust YouTubers anymore. YouTube was the first thing that I've started doing once I became an adult, and I even tried to do it a bit earlier, before I hit 18 years of age. But it took a while to get a grasp of it. And so if we have to put it as a CV or a resume, I have about 12 years of experience on this platform. Maybe it's my bias that I see YouTube gurus give advice that is not something that would actually help people start their channel. But maybe it is actually the case. And I want this video to be very interactive, because I'm gonna share how I see it from the bird's eye view as a person who has several times more experience than those YouTube gurus. And then you are going to be able to comment, to shoot the reaction video in the comments on how does that appear, and did those YouTubers actually help you or anybody that you know? Because I think that's the primary metric, whether the advice being given, being told, actually leads to the results. How I see it, from my point of view, is that the YouTube gurus just share the tips and tricks, so they understand everything from the very technical perspective and overly wanna be scientific experiment without actually being scientific and being overly technical. Because YouTube, I see it as movie market or series market, right? Whatever channels and companies release the shows. So that's how I view it. And I can tell you there's no algorithm. Algorithm is just this fancy word that YouTubers use to kind of, it's even hard to put in words. They use it to appear to be more knowledgeable than they actually are. And I really want to stress that it's very cool that those people are taking some kind of action and doing something, but I just think that in order for us to grow collectively, right, and individually as well, because it comes hand to hand, it's important to take the best ideas and turn them into something practical and useful, instead of just multiple talking heads giving advice that is usually pretty much the same. The overly technical route that they take is basically trying to explain reality through their software development worldview. And I've been a software developer for 4 years, and I can tell you that technical language and technical ways of explaining things, they are not practical. They are good when you're trying to develop a technical system, because that's the only language that you can use to do so. So the algorithm is something that YouTube employees who develop the system, that's the word that they use to describe it, but it's a completely wrong point of view and way of thinking to use it as a way to help normal people create videos. it's not, you don't view it from the technical prism. Like if we take the highest grossing movies of all times, I think number one is Avengers Endgame, and I think number two is one of the Avatars, maybe the first one, and maybe number three is Titanic. It could be positioned differently, maybe one other movie has climbed on top, in top three. But the point is that the creators, the producers, the directors, they don't talk about people as algorithms. They don't speak to each other when creating a movie, when creating their name for the movie and the characters and the marketing campaign. They don't say that, hey, we gotta optimize it for the algorithms, you know? You know, it's gotta hit a lot of those views, and you know, we've gotta make, you know, they talk about money, they talk about the ratings that the movie is gonna make, but most importantly about money. So that's how they track, because those are corporations and they track it in a monetary sense. But the greatest products, they always are not only financially successful, but they have some kind of deeper meaning to them. And this is not technical, and this is not financial. And same applies to YouTube. So of course, the goal for creating content, it's kind of multifaceted, right? So, because there's a personal one, somebody likes to express their ideas, they feel better doing that. Somebody likes to make people laugh. Somebody likes to have fun and record themselves doing it, whatever it is. So there's that layer. Then there's also the layer of the numbers, you know, the amount of subscribers, the amount of views and engagement and retention and all of those technical metrics. But this is not something that is the primary focus if you want the channel to be successful. It's just something that is a little part of the big mechanism that helps you to build a product, a series, episodes that people enjoy watching and want more of. And then there's also the financial way of measuring, right? It's how much money you're making from your channel using different metrics. So these are the three primary ways of measuring. But what's more important is understanding people, because when you call people algorithm, you immediately make your content less personalized. Like it becomes identical to everything else. That happens even without the help of the technology, let's put it that way. So even if you are in the frame talking, it's your voice, it's you, your videos do not stand out and people cannot relate to them, people cannot feel you as a human if you call your viewers algorithm. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. It's a very hard subject to explain, but it's ridiculous to see how it just goes completely over the head of those YouTube gurus. What you have to do in order to get to any result that you want, and this doesn't only apply to YouTube, and it applies to life. You have to think about people. And that's the most important advice for YouTube and for life and for business and for career, for relationship. You have to think more about the other person first than about yourself. Of course, you have to take care of the basic things, you know, just like wake up, don't go to the shower, don't eat, don't, do other things that a human has to do in order to sustain himself, his health, mental and health and physical health. But it's something that you have to do secondary. You have to, whenever you do something in the world, after you have taken care of yourself, that's when you have to start thinking about people. In business, in career, on YouTube, personal relationship, seek to understand before being understood. And when you have understood, it's not like people say that, hey, we just want, stupid TV shows, right? People are like, they don't tell you directly what they want. You observe and you spot, you notice, hey, that's what they like, that's what they like, that's what they like. And then you take all of that, all of those pieces of feedback and observations, compile it into a list, and then you find a way to create a masterpiece, something that's going to be remembered, not just today, after they watch it, but in 10 years, 20 years, 300 years, 500 years. That's how the greatest products and the greatest people, the greatest literature, the greatest philosophers, the greatest ideas are remembered. So next time you watch the YouTube gurus, or you feel an inclination to watch them, be very mindful, because their job, it's not about helping you build a fantastic YouTube channel. Their job is to use technical means to give you a slight advantage. Like 10%, 20%, 30% advantage to the fundamentals of what you are and what you do and how you operate. It's a tiny edge. So if your output is 10, they'll multiply it by 30% and your output will be 13. But if your fundamentals are handled and your output is 100 and they multiply it by 30%, then it's going to be 130. So the difference is 3 in output here and 30 in output here. And output could be quality, could be quantity, it could be novelty, it could be anything. YouTube gurus are great, but they are not gurus, right? These are just analysts. Like, hey, I have noticed that this type of videos go viral, so create all those videos, and then everybody creates those videos, and they all suck because everybody tried to do it as fast as possible before anybody else gets into that niche. Usually, if I see a YouTube guru that says something novel, it's usually just one video. So I see that video, I'll watch it, I'm like, that's cool. And then when I look at other videos, even if I turn them on, but over time I've learned even to just be able to decipher them without opening them, I can see that most of their videos are, they are not helpful. They are not useful, and they're talking about a different thing than what actually helps. Because most of the success in life, in business, in sales, and marketing, in relationship, it's in your mind, not in some self-development kind of way, not in some kind of religious way, but it's how you operate. It's how your mind is able to handle pressure and stress and just difficulties of life, and be able to still operate in a healthy manner, so you don't cause noise in the world and you don't cause distraction in the world. I hope I have communicated this point well. It's been Edward. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Goodbye.